So today we'll be discussing today about the last lesson and what will be the MCQ question that will be coming from the last lesson that we are going to discuss about that. So just I'm sharing the screen. Take your book. Yes. So the last lesson, the author, name of the author, very important. So I started for school for late that morning and was in great for scolding. So when the writer started the school late, and what I was expecting from that, he was expecting the scolding from the teacher. Who is the teacher? M. Hamel had said that you question us on participles. So what will be the lesson? What will be the coming lesson for the students? That is participles. I didn't know first word about them. For a moment, I thought of running away and spending the day out of doors. It was so warm, so bright. So it is another MCQ question that how was the day? It was a day where it was bright and warm day. The birds are chirping at the edge of the woods and in the open field back of the sawmill. The Prussian soldiers were drilling. So it was the first paragraph that we're telling about the environment, the atmosphere. The atmosphere is very, I mean, what I will say that opposite type of atmosphere will be there. One here we can see that it was so bright, so warm, so beautiful, and in respect of Germany, in respect of those European countries, if there will be warm day, so it will be enjoyable day, and it was so bright. It not used to be in a European country. So the bird was sharpening at the edge, and here beautiful things are has been described, and other things that Croatian soldiers were drilling. So totally two opposite things has been described. So it was all much more tempting than the rule of the participles. That I had the strength to resist and hurried off to school. So I need to hurry off the schools because I am not giving any importance to those things, because I have seen pure Russian soldiers that used to be there in the training positions. So I have the writer has seen those things, and the writer is the first person he's writing. When I passed the town hall, there was crowds in the front of bulletin board, and that was very normal. In the bulletin board, it was not such like now that you can get that PDF in other places or any other places to get newspaper. But it was a bulletin board. Bulletin board was constituted on every nook and corner, and the crowd was there in the front bulletin board. For the last 2 years, all our bad news had come there. Lost battle, the draft, the orders, the commanding officers. I thought it twice without stopping. So all the bad things, because I mean, it is not attached with me. It is not attached with my concern. So that is why the crowd was there in front of the bulletin board. Some issues or some notification is there. So what can be the matter now? So what will be the bad matter? Because we are expecting some bad matter will come. So what will be the bad matter? Because we used to see that. Then I hurried by as fast as I could. The blacksmith, washer, who was there, was his apprentice reading the bulletin, called after me. Don't go so fast, Bob. You'll get to your school in plenty of times. Don't go so fast. Why you are going so fast? Because the boy is going so fast because was expecting that if you will be late, then Ian Hamel. Hamel will ask the questions or will punish the boy. I thought he was making fun of me and reached me in Hamel's little garden, all of the things. Usually when the school began, there was a great bustle, which could be heard out in the street, the opening and the closing gates. So it is, we used to see this because it was a hustling, bustling, it was a straight over the open, the closing of the brace, cancellation, repeated unison. So crowd, if there will be crowd, if there will be school, loud noise will be there. And the teacher's great ruler rapping on the table, but now it was all so still. So it is very quiet. It is very awkward. It's also still. I had counted on the commotion to get to my desk without being seen. But of course, that day everything had to be as quiet as Sunday morning. So it was like the Sunday morning that everything has been very quiet. So it is awkward for me to see such kind of things, such kind of a silence prevails in the school. So I had counted on the omission to get on my desk without being seen. Of course, that day everything had to be quiet as Sunday morning. To the window, I saw my classmates already in their places, and M. Hamel walking up and down with his terrible iron ruler under his arm. I had to open the door and go in before everybody. You can imagine how blasted and how frightened I was. How blasted and how frightened. Again, two opposite things we can see. Blushed and frightened. Why I'm blushed? Because I feel, I will very blushed because if something has not been provided to me, if Mr. Hamel would say something or in front of all the students, then it will not be conducive for me. And frightened that if Mr. Hamel or Ian Hamel would punish me. But nothing had happened. Ian Hamel saw me and said very kindly, very important, very kindly, because he was a little calmer. So he was telling, go to your place quickly, little far. We are beginning without you. So we have started without you. Today, in Hamel, often we have seen that in Hamel would say something that if you are late or if the student would be late, then you should say something. But he has just begun, and we have just begun without you. So you take your seat. I jumped over the wings and sat down at my desk. Not till then I had got a little over my pride. Did I see that our teacher had on his beautiful green coat? So they have not used to see those scenes. So they have seen that, yes, the beautiful green coat Mr. Hamel wears, and his frilled shirt and the little black silk cap, all embroidered, that he never wore except on the inspection on the prize day. So is it an important day? It is a special day for them. Why he was wearing such things? Because he did not wear such kind of thing. Besides, the whole school seems so strange and solemn, because I have not seen such kind of a solemn and quiet place. But the things that surprised me most was to see on the back benches that were always empty. The back benches always empty. No students were there, no people was there. The village people sitting quietly like ourselves. Who was sitting over there? It can be the MCQ questions. Who are sitting over there? So you can see that old horse with little three-cornered hat, the former mayor, the former postmaster, several others besides, they're sitting quietly in the back bench. So these are the awkward or odd things that Fra has seen, because he did not used to see such kind of a thing. So today, is it a special day? Everybody looks sad. Everybody looks sad. And Hauser has bought an old primer, thumped at the edge. He held it open on his knees with a great spectacle line across the pages. While I was wondering about it all, M. Hamel mounted his chair, and in the same grave and gentle tone which he had used to be, said, "My children, this is the last lesson I shall give you. The order has come from Berlin to teach only German in the schools of Alsace and Lorraine. The new master comes tomorrow. This is your last French lesson. I want you to be very active." So M. Hamel has categorically stated or informed that it will be the last lesson, and after that, German language will be taught. New teacher will be coming, and they will be teaching you the new German language, and you will be relieved from the duties. So it will be the last lesson, last French lesson for you. What a thunderclap these words were. Thunderclap. Why it is called thunderclap? Because he was not expecting anything. I mean, it was out of the expectation. They have not dreamed. It was a thunder from the blue. So, and oh, the riches. That is what they put up at the town hall. So now he realized what the man had told him, why the crowd gathered in front of the bulletin board. Now it is clear for them. My last venture. Why? I hardly knew how to write. I should never learn anymore. I must stop there then. Oh, sorry, I was for not learning my lesson, for seeking birds' eggs, going sliding on the shore. My books that have seemed such a nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry, my grammar, my history of the saints were old friends now that I could not keep up. So it is an usual children's mind. The mind of the children speak. What is the mind of the children when, I mean, during the lesson? Some of the students they feel that it is a nuisance, it is very heavy. I don't want to study. I don't want to study these books. I don't want to study. But in a moment, if he has been informed that, okay, next day you should learn, you should not be educated with your own mother tongue, then it becomes so dear to them. It becomes so dear to the students. Those books, those same emotions that are attached with the mother tongue that came back, and that came back to the author as well. So in Hamilton, the idea that he was going away, that I should never see him again, made me forget all about his ruler, how cranky he was. Before that, I was feeling very frightened. I was feeling very blushed. What would happen? Mr. Hamel would punish me or scold me in front of the students. Now I am feeling that I forget all about the rulers. I forget all about how cranky he was. Poor man. It was an honor of his last lesson that he had put on his fine Sunday clothes. That is why he was putting the Sunday clothes. Why? Because it was a special day for him, because it was the last working day for him. Now I understood by the old man of the villagers sitting there in the back of the room. Now I realized why the whole villagers, almost the whole villagers, and a few of them, they sit the last bench. Why? Because they're sorry too that they had gone to school more. It was their way of thinking. It was all of their way. Thanking our masters for his 40 years of faithful service, of showing their respect for the country that was theirs no more. Now, here an important thing is there, the country that was not theirs no more, because they have lost the battle. Now, Germans people, the people of the German, the authority of the German would see, look after the matters. The authorities will be no more for the people from France. The authority has been changed. The authority become the German people or German authority. They will take the charge here. German. So while I was thinking of all this, I heard my name called. It was my turn to recite another MCQ question. When it was turn for to say something, or it was time to recite what he has done to recite. What would I not have given to be able to see the dreadful rule for the participle all through, very loud and clear and without any mistake. But I got mixed up on the first words and stood there, holding on to my dates and my heart beating, not daring to look up. I heard in Hamel say to me, I won't scold you, little far. You must feel very bad enough. See how it is. Every day we have said to ourselves, I have plenty of time. I will learn it tomorrow. Now you see where we have come out. So every time I see, every time while Mr. Hamel would teach me, every time I said, okay, next day I will learn. Next day, next day, next day. So this will be the last day. There will be no next day. See, bah, I have plenty of time. That's great travel for Alaskans. She puts up learning till tomorrow, and those fellows out there will have the right to say to you, how is it to pretend to be Frenchman, yet you can neither speak or nor write your own language, but you are not the worst. We have all great deal to coach ourselves with. So first thing, because the people are, I mean, it was the perception that yes, if someone will be deprived from the duties or learning or educated in the mother language, it will be the first thing that we should do. That will be the first thing we should do. If there will be no mother tongue, no mother language to be taught, then nationalism will also be broken. So your parents were not anxious enough to have you learn. They preferred to put you to work on a farm at the mills, and so to have little more money. And I have been to blame also. Have I not often sent you to water my flowers instead of learning your lessons? And when I wanted to go fishing, did I just give you a holiday? So, I mean, here, Mr. Hamel, both the things he is telling. What is about the things that, yes, the students did not want to learn? It will be the last lesson. So I am also responsible for that, because I'm not sometimes without teaching or without making you engaged in the teaching. What I used to do, I wanted to go for fishing. I asked you to for fishing. I went to the fishing, and I give you the holidays. I used to tell you that yes, you can go to the water the flowers instead of learning your lessons. So I have done this distance. And then from one thing to another, M. Hamel went on to talk to the French language, saying that it was the most beautiful language in the world, and the clearest and the most logical one, and that we must guard it among. And when the people were enslaved, as long as they hold fast to their language, it is as if they had the key to their prison. Then he opened a grammar and read us our lesson. So he's telling about the language. Every language is the most beautiful language. The characteristics, because if I am in Bengali, I should feel proud that yes, I can talk in Bengali. And from my perspective, I can say that it is the most clearest and logical language. Maybe it is a difficult language, but it is the clearest language and beautiful language. So same thing we have seen from M. Hamel. He told that yes, it is a beautiful language, it is a logical language. He used to tell that. He opened the grammar. I was so amazed to see how well I understood. All I said seemed so easy, I think that I'd never listened so carefully, that we never explained everything so much patience. So for the first time, I have given all my attention to the teaching of in Hamel. This is for the first time, and for the first time, I became patient to listen what Mr. Hamel is going to teach us. It seems almost as if the poor man wanted to give us all new before going away, and to put it all into our heads at one stroke. After the grammar, we had a lesson in writing. That day, M. Hamel had new copies for us and written beautiful round hand from Alaskis. They looked like little flags floating everywhere in the school room, hung from the rods at top of our desk. So it is called the nationalism. It can be called the nationalism because it is looked like the flags floating everywhere. The new copies he has taken, and he is bringing the copy, and giving the copy to the students. The only sound was the scratching of the pens over the paper. Once some beetles flew in, but nobody paid any attention to them. Not even the little ones walked right on tracing their fish with hooks, as if that was fun. French too. On the road, the pigeons flew very loud. I thought to myself, will they make them sing in German when the It is a very interesting questions that has been asked by the writer. That everything will be changed. The education system will be changed, and German people, they will be getting hold of all education systems. So we need to teach, or we need to learn about the German language. Is it applicable to the animals also? If they could, if the pigeons could, then will they also be learned? Will they also be learned the German language? Wherever I looked up from my right, Mr. Hamel sitting motionless in his chair, gazing first at one thing and then at another. If you wanted to fix in his mind just how everything looked in that little schoolroom, fancy, for 40 years he had been there, the same place, 40 years. That can be the insecure question. How many years Mr. Hamel has been working? 40 years in the same place, with his garden outside the window and the class in front of him. 40 years he has been working over there. Only the desks and benches had been old, smooth. The walnut trees in the garden were taller, and the hop pine that he had planted himself to point about the windows or to the roof. To hear his master moving about in the room above. Packing their trunks, they must leave the country next day. So they need to leave the country on the next day. So it will be the last day to stay in the country, and after that, they need to move from their own land to other land. Because the land will be covered and the land will be taken care by the Germans. So it should not be their land anymore. But he had the courage to hear every lesson to the very last. But whatever the students are, someone is reciting, someone is telling something, someone is sharing their opinion, everything has been heard by M. Hamel on the day. After the writing, he had a lesson in history. And then the babies chanted like there, ba, be, oo. Down there at the back of the room, old Hosher had put on his spectacles and holding his primer in both hands, spelling the letters with them. You could see that he too was crying. His voice trembled with emotion. And it was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. And how well I remember it, the last lesson. It will be the last lesson. So what the others will be doing, that can be coming as the MCQ options. You could see that he too was crying, his voice trembled with emotions. Old Hosher. What old Hosher was doing? He was crying and his voice was trembling with emotion. It was so funny to hear him that we all wanted to laugh and cry. So it will be another MCQ type of options. All at once, the church clock struck 12. Then the Angelus, and at the same moment, the trumpets of the Croatian returning from drill and sounded under our window. So when the Croatians returning from the drill, in what time? It was 12. Sounded our windows. Mr. Hamel stood up, very pale in this year. I never seen him so tall. My friend, but something choked him. Something choked him. He couldn't go on. Because the soldiers are sitting over there, standing over there just outside of the window. And he wanted to tell something, but his voice choked. He could not tell it. Then he turned to the blackboard, took a piece of chalk, and bearing it on with all his might, He wrote as large as he could. Vivala France. Yes, Vivala France. Long live France. Vivala France. Then he stopped and leaned his head against the wall, and without a word, he made a gesture to us with his hand. School is dismissed. You may go. The school is dismissed. So it is all about the last lesson. So few of the questions or few of the things we can discuss about it. Already I have discussed the whole, but few of the MCQ questions we need to discuss. First, these are the parts that we are going to discuss, or these are the parts that will be coming in the MCQ also. Please mark them. What Mr. Hamel used to do, scolding especially Mr. Hamel. Next is what were the things that has been noticed by the writer. Noticed by the writer. So it can be the question, MCQ question, MCQ question, or options will be given. When I passed the town hall, the bulletin board, who are standing or who was crowding in the bulletin boards, who are there? What the bad news? What were those bad news? The lost battle, the craft, the orders of the commanding officer. What the bad news? Another, why did the author not to stop there? Why the author didn't want to stop there? Why? So it can be also your MCQ questions. Then I hurried fast. I could go and the bulletin, reading the bulletin. Who asked me, or what's standing over there, or who asked me? Who asked me that don't go so fast? Who asked me? Blacksmith, washer. It can be the MCQ. Usually, when the school began, what the usual things that they have seen or they have felt? Another MCQ. Now, the attire of Mr. Hamel, the attire, very important, the attire of M. Hamel. M. Hamel, the attire of M. Hamel. So it can be the MCQ question. But nothing happened. Mr. Hamel saw me, said very kindly. So you are sitting down. What are the odd things he has seen? What are the odd things? What were the odd things he had seen? What were the odd things he has seen? The odd thing he has seen that who is sitting over in the last bench. That also the odd things. While I was wondering, Mr. Hamel mounted on the chair, what the Mr. Hamel has told, and what was the declaration of Mr. Hamel. So all those things can be the question. All these things can be the question. All these things can be the question. And this will be the last lesson. Here also you can see this, why he told. My book that had been seemed very nuisance a while ago, so heavy to carry the grammar. So why did the author feel that the books became very dear? Why? It can be the question also. So poor man, it was an honor of this last lesson that he had put the fine Sunday clothes. Why? Yes. Why? Why he wore the Sunday clothes today? Another important question is there, that how many years did M. Hamel work here? It is how many years? So it can also be the questions. Next, I won't scold you too far. The name of the writer here and suggestion. He was giving the suggestion to the author. You'll get, yesterday also, you feel that yes, tomorrow I'll learn, but there will be no tomorrow. This will be the last day. So the language, what he was telling about the language, why it is, what are the characteristics of the language? What are the characteristics of the language? What are the characteristics of French language? So it can be also the question. So just a few questions. I'm giving you the examples. It is just examples. It is not like that. It will come. It is example. I'm just discussing about the examples. All said that is easy. So here also you can find out, after that we have a lesson in writing that day. Mr. Hamel had new 2 copies. So what are the lessons? What are the lessons and what the author has done? The author first has done the recitation. Recite. He recites. Very important. Number 2, the 2 periods. 1 period with grammar. And another period in lesson in writing. Lesson in writing. It can be the question. These are all can be the question. And whenever I saw Mr. Hamel sitting motionless in the chair, gazing fast one thing, so afterwards, what has happened? What has happened afterwards? So what was happened before the last French lesson completed? So these are the questions that I have told you. These are the questions that please go through those chapters. I have discussed few, but these are the questions that you need to discuss, and this year also you need to discuss about those things. The last, what old Hosher has told. His voice was trembled with emotion. And what was the last word? Last word of M. Hamel. So these are the things that can be the MCQ questions. That can be the MCQ questions.